Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, the 21st day of September 2015. I am your host, Alex Jones. We're going to be live here for the next 3 hours. Joining us in studio is my friend, Pat Riley. We also have Jesse Ventura joining us coming up in the second hour. We'll have open phones for that. Pat Riley, who is a personal trainer and a good friend of mine. I'm friends with his wife and he. We go out tubing and outdoor stuff, fishing, things like that. He just took off 3.5 weeks. He does this every 3 or 4 years to go to Europe. And this time he went to Croatia, Turkey, and other areas where Europe basically borders the East. And he witnessed the so-called refugees face-to-face. And we've seen the stunts where the man throws his wife and kids on a train track, and then it's implied that the police did it. And the media plays along with this. He witnessed this for himself. And then he talked to local Turks. He said, oh, he's done that twice this week at that restaurant. A guy gets up on a 5th-story balcony, knocks out the window, and then sits there banging his chair, leaning back over while his wife and children stand at the bottom as a crowd gathers and says, he's going to kill himself if I don't get money. And they start giving her thousands of dollars, the equivalent of that in Turkish and euros and dollars. And she just sits there with wads of cash flying at her at the luxury hotel. And here's Pat staying in a really cheap hostel, a really cheap place with his wife so he can save money and travel more. Worked for his money. And then he's watching the giant con game. And it's a perfect metaphor for the West and how we're guilted into everything we do. Truly sickening. He was in Istanbul when he saw that. He's going to describe what he witnessed when he joins us in the last 30 minutes of the broadcast today. There's a lot of huge news, obviously, but I remember about a month ago, Joe Biggs covered this from his military sources and a few fragments of news that he was covering out of Afghanistan, that Hillary was covering up. We wrote articles about it as well at the time, covering up sexual abuse of children when she was the head of the State Department. Well, that's now in the New York Times yesterday, September 20th, U.S. soldiers told to ignore sexual abuse of boys by Afghan allies. And basically, it's the exact same people Joe Biggs reported on a month ago. You can pull up our article headlined, Hillary covered up sexual abuse or ordered sexual abuse to be covered up in Afghanistan. So again, Infowars.com, just on the very tip of the spear of breaking news and information. This is not a joke. Saudi Arabia has been chosen to head the UN Human Rights Panel. Probably get a feminist award or something from Gloria Steinem, but because I've got short hair, she'll say I'm the enemy of America and women. But that's how they operate. Kerry says we're going to accept 85,000 refugees. See, first it's 10,000, then it's 15,000, then it's 25,000. I said that 2 weeks ago. I mean, I just know their formula. We're going to take 10,000 refugees. I'm your Lord and Savior, Barack Obama. I said so. I'm going to rename this mountain. I'm going to shut down these power plants. I'm going to open the border because I'm King Obama. Well, first it's 10,000, now it's 85,000, then it'll be 1 million, then it'll be 2 million, then it'll be 5 million, then it'll be 10 million, then it'll be 20 million, then it'll be 30 million. It's 40 million illegals right now in the country, running around arrogant, thinking everybody's there to serve them, thinking everybody screwed them over. Just all a complete joke. What a joke. So that's, oh, but don't worry, during the Emmy Awards, they attacked Donald Trump as racist because he doesn't want to pay for everybody to come here and have their babies for free, even though nobody else does that. And, of course, Saudi Arabia financing all this won't take one of these darling little refugees. Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting worldwide on this September 21st, 2015 worldwide transmission. Former Governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, will be joining us to talk election 2016. My friend Pat Riley, who just traveled extensively through Eastern Europe and Turkey, saw shocking events via the precious, darling migrants, refugees, as they're called, including mock suicide attempts staged to make the public donate money. And we've seen the migrants staging dead bodies of children, throwing children on railroad tracks, attacking reporters, and then running from them so they can be tripped and then say that they're victims. The list goes on and on. In Europe, if you get smacked upside the head by a big rock and you criticize it, you are arrested. The former Stasi secret police have been reactivated. That's mainstream German news. They now work for Facebook and alert the government if you criticize the open borders for 5,000 euro fines. That's over $5,000 and or 120 days in jail. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, McDonald's is leading the effort to promote migrant aid. Oh, McDonald's is always pushing taking your guns, opening your borders, a true world government organization. Thousands more migrants pour into Austria as 13 drowned off Turkey. Saudi Arabia has still not taken one single refugee. Refugee crisis to test EU at summit of divided leaders. The eastern countries are being criticized for not taking more. You've only taken 3-4 million in the last year. You should take them, advertise everything's free, so 20 million come, and then 50 million, and then 100 million, because it's your job to pay for it. And the Swedes have to house people in their homes, the government's proposing, and they're raising new taxes across the EU to pay for it because it's your job. No one else is in the world but Europe and America's job to pay for everything. And now you see the guilt society. Now you see it. Eastern European leaders in war of words as migrants pour across borders. Reuters. Meanwhile, look at this headline. Not a joke. Saudi Arabia chosen to head UN rights panel. That'd be like hiring a top pedophile to guard children. It'd be like hiring Jerry Sandusky to run a children's orphanage. Well, I guess he did kind of run one. That's the whole point. The fox guarding the henhouse. Fury after Saudi Arabia chosen to head key UN human rights panel. Saudi Arabia is basically like North Korea with trillions in oil. Total freakville, totally corrupt. Their people aren't that corrupt, but their government is an absolute joke. We have a teenager sentenced to death by crucifixion for taking part in anti-government protests in Saudi Arabia, criticizing the government and illegally possessing a firearm. Faces death, the Mirror reports. But don't worry, they don't let women drive cars, and they'll execute you for teaching the gospel. But they're our ally, our gallant ally. Meanwhile, Kerry again says we were to accept 85,000 refugees next year. See, first it's 10,000, then it's 85,000, then it's 1 million. That's how they get you ready for it. Just a standard psychological warfare tactic. That's out of AP. Rand Paul blames Hillary for refugee crisis. Yes, she helped quarterback destabilizing the Middle East. Absolutely true. That's from the Hill newspaper. Rand Paul is on target. 15,000 more refugees to be resettled in the U.S. on top of the 85,000. Donald Trump says it wasn't the Swedes who blew up the World Trade Center. You have extremist Muslims. They are a class by themselves. He's being called racist for claiming that jihadist terror is Muslim. Well, it is. You know, I didn't follow the kid with the clock who said he built a clock to take it to school. And then it turns out his dad is a top activist who's pulled stunts before. And within hours of it happening, the White House, you know, wants the kid to come to the White House. And it turns out he didn't build the clock. It's just the guts of a digital clock from the 70s. And he wouldn't respond and tell him it was a clock to cause the freak out. And that's why cops took him in, was because they wanted to know if it was basically like a bomb threat. Hoax exposed. Muslim student Ahmed Mohammed's briefcase clock is 1970s digital alarm clock. A total staged event. I don't normally agree with Bill Maher. But coming up, we have that clip. We're going to be playing it where he says, look, it didn't look like a clock. And you've got him showing it to people with wires hanging out of it. Looks like something out of a movie on purpose, in my opinion. But this is how they stage everything. Of course, Obama didn't have any of the families killed at the recruiting centers by jihadists to the White House to speak to them. No, no, no. And that ties into the next story I'm going to detail more coming up later in the hour. I went to check into some syndication while I was there. That's why it worked perfectly for the TV show / radio show, but also to be able to attend a friend's wedding up in Omaha, Nebraska. I've driven through Omaha, but never stayed there. It's a nice town. And I'm flying out yesterday, and they tear open my bag, and they, for 30 minutes, search everything. And then they say, what is this? Do you know what this is? And I said, yeah, it's Concord grape jelly from a farmer's market I went to. I bought some of the grapes, too. I'd already eaten those. I said, they said, well, why do you have it? And I said, well, you see the squash and the peppers and the things I bought here. I mean, my briefcase was half full of produce. That's what I do. I'm into farmers markets. They said, well, you can't have it. It's a liquid. And I said, well, actually, it's grape jelly, but it's a solid. But I said, whatever. They said, well, we're going to have to search you and do all this stuff to you again. And it went on and on. And it's just such a joke, this baptism of slavery, this induction into serfdom, this training that I'm a criminal and I'm a person that's guilty until proven slave. Not innocent until proven guilty, not even guilty until proven innocent. I'm always suspect. I'm guilty, guilty, guilty. And so after they'd gone through all this rigmarole, they wanted to put me in the body scanner. And I'd already been basically patted down. And I did it because I was wanting to go ahead and see what the scanner was like after 5 years of demonstrating against it and protesting. I've talked on air about maybe going ahead and doing it just to experience it so I could speak about it. And then, they got real mad and said, something's in your back pocket. And I said, well, you told me to go in there with my boarding pass. They're all laughing at me and stuff. And I just realized how much trouble this country's in, but especially because the people in Omaha, I guess, are so conformist that they thought it was really cute to have me there 30 minutes, and they waited till the last minute and said, you're going to miss your flight, you're going to miss your flight. And I said, fine, just makes the story bigger. And then finally they're announcing my name over the loudspeaker as Southwest had the door open. They closed it when I walked in. The flight took off 5 minutes late. Southwest waited for me, to their credit, and I flew back to Austin, Texas, crammed in amongst the rest of the proletariat and coach. And while they were taking off, I was sending the photos to Buckley and the audio file, my report, while it's taxiing. I filed the report yesterday that aired on the news about an hour after I filed it, so great job for the crew getting that out. The story's up on Infowars.com. I had the headline, TSA security alert over grape jelly. That's the headline I wanted, but whatever. Paul Watson has the headline, Alex Jones harassed by TSA over jar of grape jelly. And some people are saying, what'd you do, pull a stunt on purpose? No, I just forget I'm not in a free country, and I'm in a hurry getting out of my motel, and I just stuck the produce and the grape jelly in my bag. I'm sorry I'm such a criminal. Well, the mainstream corporate globalist media 3 months ago began announcing that Russia was to abandon Syria to jihad, Saudi Arabian, Qatari, NATO forces made up of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. We, of course, reported that the Russians were moving more ships and weapons in, that more aircraft were landing. The Russians are building at least 3 airfields, one of them a forward air base to deliver helicopters and air support with Marine forces, as well as Russian Spetsnaz or special forces. And Spetsnaz just means special forces, period, in Russian, both Marine and Army special forces. This is an exclusive report in English language. It is only in the Russian news as of now or at Infowars.com. Top story, Infowars.com. Russian Marines battle ISIS in Syria. ISIS militants attack Russian airbase, according to Russian media. Russian Marines clashed with ISIS in Syria on Sunday, according to Russian media. During the fight, the Marines allegedly killed, and again, they're going to print the article off and bring it in here, and I'm going to be able to break all that down for you. During the fight, the Marines allegedly killed several militants, that is migrants, and captured others in a racist action, I would add, according to CNN. I'm being sarcastic. During the fight, the Marines allegedly killed several of the peaceniks. I'm sorry. During the fight, the Marines allegedly killed several militants and captured others after ISIS attempted to attack the airbase operated by Russian military, reported the Russian news services. And we have links to that up on Infowars.com. It is considered one of the most advanced aircraft in Russia's inventory, with updated avionics and a wide array of weapons at its disposal. 60 of the jets are planned to be delivered to Russian forces by next year. Again, Russian activity at the airbase ramped up Friday upon the arrival of advanced Russian fighter jets, including 4 Su-300SM flankers, which are loose equivalents of the U.S. Air Force FA-18F Hornet. This, of course, begs the question, who provided ISIS with the kind of intelligence of right where to attack to take out the aircraft with live satellite feeds? They were targeting the aircraft. Well, I mean, the Pentagon's not going to let their little sweetie cake jihad forces actually get attacked, are they? So really amazing to see all this unfolding. Russia has also shipped in tanks, artillery, and attack helicopters into Syria and has opened up a high-level communication with the U.S. military to ensure that no misunderstandings lead to conflict. Moscow and Washington operated a similar red phone hotline during the Cold War, a striking allegory to the current state of tensions between the two countries, especially as neoconservative think tanks rattle their sabers at Russia and as the Obama White House basically threatens them not to fight back against ISIS or other rebels being run by the West. Right now, the Defense Department is reviewing and updating its contingency plans for armed conflict with Russia over the Syria conflict, according to Foreign Policy magazine. Never before has America been so clearly on the wrong side, ladies and gentlemen. A sovereign country done nothing to us under 5 years of attack by Saudi Arabian proxy armies. Saudi Arabia, cut and dry, attacked us on 9/11. Our government covered that up, bare minimum. That's now come out. They then had our government and our media demonize an innocent country, Iraq, which was then basically brought back to the Stone Age and now divided into 3 countries. Kurdistan, and of course they have the Islamic State area in the western central area, and in the south it is controlled by the Shiites to the east into Iran. They have divided the country into 3 parts. They're now openly announcing the plan to break Syria into 3 parts as well. And Russia understands this is about taking their only warm water port there on the Mediterranean in Syria. They understand it's part of the march towards bringing down Russia. And I'm not saying Russia is perfect. I'm not saying Russia is wonderful. But Russia is not on an offensive. Russia is not putting cancer viruses in our vaccines. Russia is not opening our borders. Russia is not funding ISIS. Russia is not pushing world government. Russia is not trying to take my guns. Russia isn't on the news saying my kids belong to the state. Our criminal, illegitimate government is. And the good news is our own military and top brass have gone public, and they have said they will not be part of openly aiding al-Qaeda to bring down Syria and being involved in war crimes. So the arrogant Harvard Ivy League globalists that run this country told the military, we don't care, we'll go with proxy armies, and have done it anyways, nakedly, quadrupling down. When we come back, it's not a joke. Saudi Arabia chosen to head UN Human Rights Panel, and the Pope is now back home in Cuba, worshiping Fidel. We're back live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. The breaking news report is on Infowars.com. Russian Marines battle ISIS in Syria. So the valiant forces of the West are attacking the Russians. And I guess you're not patriotic if you don't support al-Qaeda-controlled groups out of Saudi Arabia attacking the innocent sovereign nation of Syria. If you watch the mainstream television news, you would believe that it is a war crime not to support this. That is how truly sickening all of this has gotten. Now, before I get into the latest on election news, ahead of Jesse Ventura joining us, and the latest U.S. news, economic news, what's happening with oil going down last week to record levels, bouncing back up a bit this morning. Before we break that down, I just wanted to let listeners know that you have now basically knocked a home run out of the park with the 2015 war chest operation that we launched last week. It raised total over $1 million that we need for the satellites, the closed captioning, the equipment, the reporters. Anybody who actually runs a news organization knows that you can't run a small-town newspaper for $1 million a year. But when you add $1 million to the other capital we have coming in, it gives us the working capital we need to do those new projects and to reach tens of millions of more people. You can find out details at Infowars.com/affiliates, the satellite links, the feeds, all of it. And the next project here in the next few weeks and months will be aggressively you, myself, we the people, lobbying UHF, VHF, and local cable stations to pick up the daytime show and the nighttime news, as well as the Sunday broadcast. There's already a lot of affiliates that are picking it up. And we're talking to them, signing them up, creating a list, linking to it. And we're a very small organization. It's a big job, but we're doing the best we can. So it's already a success. I want to salute and thank all of you. And in this month of September, we're offering specials that we've never offered before to make it easy for folks to support the InfoWars operation and make it what I call a 360 win. I have worked with My Patriot Supply, the preeminent storable food company, for many years. But for 2 years, I've been negotiating to put out InfoWars Select that's just basically has our sticker stuck on it. Because for whatever reason, folks like things branded to InfoWars, I'll just be honest with you. And it's the full selection of what My Patriot Supply has to offer at InfoWarsStore.com. And you can see all the very same meals, the same packages, for just a little bit more money. InfoWars Select is even less. But in 1 week, InfoWars Select will be the same price week to week to whatever their best specials are. And we'll continue to have My Patriot Supply at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWars Select. But basically, by private labeling, I'm contractually able to get them to offer the very lowest prices they're able to that they offer some of their other suppliers and distributors and private labelers as well. So that's why we're doing this. But I got them, and I had their CEO on a week and a half ago to give us for 2 weeks the lowest price they've ever offered, the highest quality, non-GMO, clean, healthy, high quality, recently produced. I mean, it's produced every week as fast as they can produce the food. Fresh food that lasts for decades. Insurance you can eat. In insane times like this, it's insane not to have high-quality storable foods, insurance you can eat. It's insane to not be somewhat self-sufficient, to have firearms, water filtration, communications equipment, friends and family, a backup plan, a bug-out plan, and at the heart of all that is food. This is the highest quality, easily stored and transported packaging you're going to find anywhere, and your purchase supports the very tip of the spear in the information war. So again, that's 888-253-3139 to call and ask any questions or order over the phone, or it's InfoWarsSelect.com or InfoWarsStore.com. And the full line of My Patriot is there at the very same prices they sell it for on their site. It's just drop shipped by them. And then there's InfoWars Select that's going to be really excellent going into the future. We are planning on having some specialty meals and specialty packs that will be different from their mainline products, but they'll be just as good. I don't want to say better than theirs because it is from them. It'll just be a little bit different in the future as well. But out of the gates, it's the exact same thing, just discounted to an even lower level. And I had 2 weeks authorization. 2 weeks ends in about 4 days. We launched it on a Thursday. I'm going to try to extend it out into next Monday. but I may not be able to. Got to twist some arms to do this, to bring you the lowest price. That's how business works. It's how capitalism operates. So I would take advantage of this right now. Have it, forget about it, know you're secure, know you're ready. That's what I've done. It's a no-brainer. 888-253-3139. Here's the good news. The super sale has been so successful with 15% off and free shipping. The free shipping has now ended, but there's still 15% off, that Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 will sell out at current sales projections by the end of the week. So the good news is we're funding our operation with high-quality products, and folks love it. The bad news is it could be 3 weeks or longer after that till more comes in. So if you want Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com, now is the time. The other bad news, we ordered twice as much Deep Cleanse this time. But it's so popular, as one of the most powerful total body cleanses out there and so affordable, it will sell out today. Deep Cleanse will sell out today, and it could be 2 to 3 months until we get more, maybe longer. Deep Cleanse was sold out for 3 months. It was back in for a few weeks. It is basically down to almost nothing. It should be sold out in the next few hours, if not by this evening. Deep Cleanse available at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com is the umbrella area. Also, we ordered a ton of the Sleep Aid Knockout, because I know I have trouble going to sleep sometimes. It's just got 9 ingredients known in a healthy way to give you good, deep REM sleep. It's simply amazing. It is available for $19.95. A bottle of melatonin would cost $19.95. This has the regular strong dose of melatonin, valerian root, and a whole bunch of other ingredients that synergistically work together. The good news is we ordered so much of this, it's not selling out yet. We have put in a reorder. Looks like we got enough for the next month or so, but Knockout is really, really popular. Your purchases, again, helped fund this operation. So that's the plug for this hour. In closing, please support our local AM and FM affiliates. Become a sponsor if you're a local listener. Support the local sponsors because they're supporting the show. And tell your friends and family, your neighbors, everybody at work, everybody at the local cafe, everyone you know about this local station, AM, FM, that you're listening to, because it's so precious what we can do with these affiliates across the country. You can have explosive awakenings in towns, and chain reactions can happen with AM and FM radio that just can't happen with the internet. We do have chain reactions with the internet as well, but they're not as localized or as powerful. They're more powerful, wide-ranging across borders, but not as powerful as the local effect we're able to see to really galvanize and energize this country and this world. So please support those local sponsors today. If you're a business owner, call up and say, I want to put up a billboard for your station and the Alex Jones Show. And folks are doing this. I want to thank you all over the country. And put up the billboard, and then right next to it say, brought to you by such and such as Heating and Air, or such and such as Dodge dealership, or such and such as restaurant. And you're not going to save the world putting up that billboard. But the spirit of resistance will. Everybody doing a little something, many hands make light work. This is the time to not just let the corrupt government take your money and use it against you, funding MSNBC and NPR and other channels. This is the time to have your voice be heard. And if you are listening to us on a local AM or FM station, say a place like Albuquerque, we're on 3 affiliates in Albuquerque, New Mexico. 2 AM, 2 FM, and 1 AM. And we're getting a huge response. They had us on the weekend. They moved us to weekdays. Now they're talking about expanding us and airing us again at night. That's how popular the show is. We need folks to then take action who are listeners in Albuquerque and put up billboards. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is how the people power can crush the globalist. Okay, I'm done ranting about that. I want to be clear when I say this. I have never been anti-Catholic. I'm a Christian. I don't judge people. If I do judge people, I don't judge their soul. I simply judge whether I think they're trustworthy and good people or not. And it was Christ who said, you judge a tree by its fruits. And the Catholics I've known throughout my life are hardworking, trustworthy, good, fun people who stand up against abortion, who stand up against globalism, who stand up against tyranny. In fact, I've got to say, probably half the people at the grassroots that I knew in Austin fighting gun control, land grabs, abortion, were Catholics. So I turned around. I had a pretty good view of Catholics because of that. So I'm not judging the Catholic people because I judge a tree by its fruits. Past popes basically sounded about 100 degrees different. Not 180, but about 100 degrees. About 60% different than this current pope. So you've got to either say, if you're a good Catholic out there, to use that famous term, were the last 3 or 4 popes or 5 popes or 10 popes, were they bad, or is this guy good? Because this guy is massively different than classical Catholic doctrine. I'm not a Catholic, but I've looked at it, I've researched it. I mean, the last few popes were, at least on the surface, anti-communist. This guy goes to the main square under the Che Guevara statue and is, presented with crucifix from Raul Castro, who will put you in jail if you're a Christian in Cuba. They've arrested a whole bunch of people as well. And there's no criticism from him of the crushing of free speech. Then he says you shouldn't have a car, you shouldn't have air conditioning. We heard that from Obama when he went to Africa. He says that. So this is a guy about being poor. This is a guy about austerity. This is a guy about Agenda 21 that is a plan to impoverish the world, to make us politically controllable for social engineering on the surface of the treaty. This is all admitted. And he sells it as if it's Christ-like, Christ being humble. Well, the Bible also talks about following God's commandments and being prosperous so you can be self-sufficient and help other people. So it is a communist liberation theology Ford Foundation program, about 100 years old, created by the Jesuits, picked up by the Ford Foundation, on record, that has financed communism all over the world. And we have a above-the-law Jesuit pope promoting classical, hardcore communism while he pushes the EU superstate and doesn't say a word against that. And now he's pushing carbon taxes and world government. He's here getting D.C. lined up in September. Then he goes to Africa and other countries, and then he's going to Europe in December to sell a planetary expansion of the EU and open world government. So this pope, by every yardstick, even if he isn't the false prophet of Revelations and Daniel and Ezekiel, he fits the bill. I mean, like a key goes in a lock and the door opens. I mean, this key opens the door. So if he's not the devil's henchman, he sure is trying. And you'd have to be blind not to see that whether you believe in the devil or not, what this guy's doing is manifesting what's in Revelation. So he's following it as a blueprint, at least, bare minimum. I mean, it's happening. You can't deny. I've been sitting there arguing with atheists before about Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, and Satan worship. They go, well, I don't believe in the devil. And I go, fine, I get you don't believe in spiritualism or anything above your senses. I understand you think you're following the scientific method there, even though Einstein and folks said it made them believe in God the more he learned. What I'm saying to you is, are there pygmies in New Guinea, or are there, pygmies are in Central Africa, are there islanders in New Guinea that kill people and shrink their heads? The answer is yes. Doesn't mean you believe in head shrinking. It's going on. Like, did the Aztecs cut people's hearts out? Yes, they did. Doesn't mean you don't believe in their god, the flying serpent. The point is, did they do it? Yes, they did it. So that's the issue here. This is world government. This is occultism. This is a takeover. This is one world religion being pushed by this papa. And it's unprecedented. I mean, look at these headlines. Dissidents arrested as Pope Francis celebrates his first mass in Cuba. Pope Francis is wrong about air conditioning. National Review wants it basically banned. Pope visit will produce largest security operation in U.S. history. Washington Post. Why? Why? Pay for it yourself with all the trillions you've got. Or you're a man of the people. We don't need this giant half the city shut down, huge circuses, Pope mobiles, all of it. No, we have a separation of church and state. There should not be any federal funding to protect this guy. And I don't mean him any harm. It's just a joke. This filthy rich guy that lectures me that I got air conditioning and that I want my employees to get paid more and that I want prosperity tells me I'm a devil as he pushes Rockefeller eugenics garbage. I mean, I wish this Pope would crawl back to his communist Jesuit seminary that he crawled out from under. Get out of my country! You're not my king! I myself cannot believe how angry I get at this Pope. But I'm telling you, no more Mr. Nice Guy. To have a foreign head of state who's tax exempt lecture me that I shouldn't go on vacations or have a car or air conditioning and tell me I'm not a good Christian if I don't, and we should basically not go after people that have abortions or not criticize it, and that world government's a good idea when I know it's part of the larger evil planetary agenda. He's got the mainstream media backing him, saying how great he is, when you notice the mainstream media was savagely attacking the Catholic Church at every angle until this point to blackmail the church that had its own problems that we exposed into going along with the agenda. And you can search Catholic Church blackmailed, pedophile scandal, Ratzinger. You'll get London Guardian and other publications from 3 years ago, right before the old Pope ran off to Gandalf Castle. I'm not kidding. It's called Gandalf. Lord of the Rings got that name from it, not the other way around. And he runs off to Gandalf Castle, and they put in this new guy. We should be discussing the fact that the Vatican is now run by globalists 100%. There's the headline, London Guardian. They found it quick. Papal resignation linked to inquiry into Vatican gay officials. Blackmail or corruption. Catholics respond to the Vatican's gay lobby. Al Jazeera. And so they blackmailed the church by having their people infiltrate it, set up their operations, just like Congress, just like Sandusky and Penn State, until it's so evil, it's so big, it's so horrible that it's too big to fail. And then it just gets absorbed and starts promoting world government openly. And clearly the Catholic Church has been degenerating and rotting and falling apart for a long time. Catholics are always mad at me for saying it's just now being taken over. I'm not a Catholic scholar. Compared to the general public, I mean, I'm a rocket scientist. I mean, I've studied it quite a bit, but not compared to devout conservative Catholics. I understand that. But, I mean, it's now just incredibly obvious. It's incredibly insane. And I get mad when Obama or Bush would shut down half of Austin or half of Dallas. Or Clinton getting a haircut. Remember back then having all the air traffic stopped for an hour? They're talking about shutting airports down. You know, when the Saudi king goes to France, they'll shut down 20 miles of the south of France so he doesn't have to see anybody on the beach. For him and his family up and down the coast. That's sick to shut down public beaches so some degenerate scumbag like the Saudi king. I'm sick of the Pope and the Saudi king and the Queen of England and just all of these anachronisms, all of these jokes. It said it enraged locals when they shut down the beaches for him. Oh, absolutely. I mean, just talk about being dominated. It's up on DrudgeReport.com. It's an Infowars.com story with our correspondent, the great Mark Dice. He went out and asked Californians, should we nuke North Korea preemptively? And their answer was, well, you'll find out in the video. Just the incredible, abject ignorance. You know, I'm not saying nuke North Korea, but actually I could see nuking them, their government itself. That's a pure evil. I wouldn't want to start a nuclear war, so I wouldn't do it. But this video is nothing compared to them saying put all gun owners in forced labor camps, arrest Christians, ban the Bible. And they call these people liberals. I do not call them liberals. There's another video. Cop threatens student with jail for handing out pocket constitutions. That's the kind of cop that's got a serious problem. On public property, on a sidewalk. See, I mean, I defend police in general because the globalists want to start a civil war. But police, if you don't get rid of control freak nuts like that swear an oath to the Constitution and then try to trample it, then you deserve the demonization you're getting. Now, I'm not saying you deserve it, but do something. Defend this country.
Visit GCNlive.com today.
Obama wants to leave behind a big legacy, and by launching a nuclear strike into North Korea to stop Kim Jong-un and save the North Korean people, he feels that that'll be the best thing he can leave behind for the world.
That's crazy, but I'm for Obama, so I'm fine.
Oh, thank you. For Obama, so he'll sign it. That's incredible. Signature to support the president's plan to launch a nuclear strike into North Korea to deal with Kim Jong-un.